Welcome everyone to our premiere episode of Boom Juice. I'm Jeff Jarvernan, and to my left, my good friend, longtime colleague, Mr. Armin Blackwater. Now, Armin, I'm going to say at the beginning here to our viewers, we both have over 50 years in the business.
Yes.
In all aspects. But you have done 50 years mostly with national and regional musicians.
Yes.
And I just want everybody to know, and now that I have that out of the way, Armin, tell everybody about Boom Juice.
Boom Juice is the definition of the boomer generation music. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, up till disco came along and everything went to shit. These were the best years, the best days, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this podcast, is our remembrances from days gone by, the greatest generation of music ever.
And Armin, we have a mantra that we kind of call our mantra.
Well, it's a mantra, yeah.
A mantra. Yeah.
We have a
All
mantra.
Right. Mantra. I have one of those too. It's in the garage. Right. We have a mantra, and it's music is the language of the soul. And Armin and I, amongst a whole number of our other close friends, many a day we have sat in the living room and in the garage and listen to this great music, and it touched our souls. We have lived by it ever since. That's who we are.
That's who we are.
Well, music is what touches us and what gives us memories and links us back to memories, to those childhood or teenage, when you're just getting ready and just starting to meet girls, or girls meeting boys, or girls meeting girls, or boys meeting boys, whatever it was. And there wasn't much of that back in the 60s, but it was going on.
It was going on.
But
What's going on?
it links you back to that date you had, that kind of night in the car where you sat and made out near the grain elevators, or on some back street with your latest
Flame.
victim. Girlfriend. and so it was, it links you back to things like that,
And and there is that language, that communication thing we've all done at the same time. The king of country music is
Hank Williams. There's no question. He is the one who defined the genre and put Nashville on the map. What happened was his wife Audra met him at a church social or whatever, singing along. He joined their band. They went out. She realized what a great talent he was. She started hawking him around to different agents and whatnot, and nobody was biting. He was just a hick from the bayou as far as anybody knew. And so she decided to roll the dice, and she went to Roy Acuff. She made an appointment with the man in Asheville, Roy Acuff, of Acuff Rose Agency. And she brought in Hank, and he played some of his stuff, Jambalaya, and some of his early stuff, and Roy Acuff was impressed. He said, "Yeah, I love that. I would love to sign you. But how do I know that you wrote this? That you didn't just steal these off of some backwoods hillbilly out there and you're trying to set this up? I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll give you a test. Here's a scene. You're walking down the street and your old heartthrob is coming towards you, and write a song about how you're feeling. I'm going to take your wife across the street, get us a bite to eat, and we'll be back 45 minutes or so. They come back 45 minutes later, and he starts singing.
Day I passed you on the street, and my heart fell at your feet. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. There was
I can't help it, but I'm still in love with you. And Roy Acuff couldn't get his pen out of the quiver fast enough to sign him to that
Sign here,
contract.
kid. Sign here, kid.
And that is the story of how Roy Acuff, or how Hank Williams
Yeah.
was
Right.
discovered, and how he was launched into his career.
Yeah, and you're right. He is well known. Well, actually, even before he really made it with, you're right, Audrey and the Drifting Cowboys.
Right.
And well, one of the most recorded people of all time. He's kind of like in the Beatles. Who am I thinking
You're
of?
talking about his catalog?
Yeah, the catalog.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Covers on his
this catalog, and how many people have recorded it?
Oh, endless.
And so he's just such a significant part of our generation. Now, one accolade I do want to get out there before we go really too far is, now, as you well know, you corrected me a couple of times, Hank died on New Year's Day, 1953.
Right.
He had a 29-year career. I mean, 29-year career. And he only had a real career for about 7, 8 years. At any rate, these accolades, the best Grammy of the year in 1989,
Right.
revolutionary, trend-setting video,
It was.
Tears in My Beer,
Right.
and our viewers are going to see a little bit of this here.
Right.
I'm just, it was impressive then, it's still impressive.
Well, it was revolutionary in the fact that they took his son, Hank Williams Jr., filmed him, and then took old clips of Hank Williams Sr., the same song, Tears in My Beer, and kind of melded them
Yep.
together and made it look like they were singing a duet. And of course, mixed the audio so that they are singing a duet.
'Cause I'm crying for you, dear. You're on my lonely mind. Lord, I've tried and I've tried, but my tears I can't hide. You are on my lonely mind. All these blues that I've found have really got me down. You are on my lonely mind. I'm gonna keep drinking till I can't even think. 'Cause in the last week I ain't slept a wink. There's a tear in my beer, 'cause I'm crying for you, dear. You're on my lonely mind.
And it was chilling to see it. It was almost haunting, especially for those of us who grew up with Hank Williams. And I heard him from the crib. He was always on in our household.
Yeah, what thing, and here's just a sidebar to this thing. Is people in the business, these rock and rollers, countries, the names, Hiram King, Hank Williams. I mean, and of course Hank Williams obviously in the biz sounds smooth, and it was cool at the time. And
it's country.
yeah, but just to note that there's so many rock and roll artists and big artists that don't use their real name, or maybe just a part of it. But
Right.
just a sidebar to that.
Oh, yeah, well, he released 35 singles that reached the top 10. 11 of them, 11
Yeah, 11.
reached number 1.
Can you believe that in that career?
Right. I mean, this is back in the 50s. I
Can
mean,
you believe it?
You know, all we have is radio at the time.
All we have is radio.
Right. And he outsold the Beatles for a long time until they, you know, just totally wiped everybody out. But
Yeah, well, he actually outsold most everybody for a number of years there. But you're absolutely right on money. Anything else we want to say about Hank other than
Well,
legend?
he joined the Grand Ole Opry in 1948, and eventually got banned from the Opry because of his drinking and showing up drunk for performances and that type of thing. He had one very bad night at the Opry, and you know, this is what happens to musicians, to entertainers who are constantly on the road, constantly. I mean, you're out there on that stage for 60 minutes, maybe 90 minutes, and then the other 22 and a half hours, you're just doing nothing. And what do you do to fill the time? Well, you drink. And you can probably find some real good friends if you got money to put on the bar. And he had lots of money to put on the bar.
That happened more than once.
Oh, yeah. But it finally took him out at age 29.
Right. You know, sad for us. And, you know, his posthumous albums sold more than the ones before. And actually, my literal introduction to Hank Williams was with a good friend of mine named Sam Good from my neighborhood, who was in the country when we were starting to go into Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Beatles. He turned me on to Hank. I had one of his greatest hits albums. I remember it. I tell you, I remember it like it was yesterday, and I cherish that a lot. Wow,
Well,
what an artist!
Yeah, well, you know, I think we really should mention all of, you know, some of his accolades. Like he was Country Music Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Native American Music Hall of Fame, Recording Academy Grammy Hall of Fame.
He had a special a prize awarded by the Pulitzer people
The
too
Pulitzer gave
for
him
his
special
contributions to humanity.
Yeah.
And where do you go from there, Armand?
Well, you know, I guess you go to a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, which he was awarded in 1987. Grammy for Best Country Vocal was 89 in the collaboration with his son, Tears in My Beer.
And like our boomers, we want to mention the director, Ethan Russell, I believe.
Ethan Russell.
I just want to do that because I want to pay tribute to the guy who did that.
Well, we're filmmaker guys, so we appreciate the editors who put these things together. And we appreciate you for watching, and stick around, there's more ahead.
Hey man, Rooster's Treehouse, incognito. We need to get rid of this sparking headache, so please, if out of the kindness of your heart, if not the love of music, subscribe to Boom Juice and get these things off my face.
Armin, we're going to go right into the segment we've talked about. We're going to go right into Good is Good.
Well, you know, that's what we were talking about before. It's the idea that it doesn't matter what kind of music it is. If it's good, it's good. And, you know, we've got this cat by the name of J. Everett, and I'm not sure how many of you have heard of him, but anybody who watches True Blood has heard the song many times, many times. It's the theme song for True Blood. So.
Right. And that song being Bad Things, written by Jace in 2005. And what we thought we always should do in these great videos, and it's not just a tribute to the artist himself, but their video, and the director of this video did an amazing job. I mean, and it was done all those many years ago. We think it's just, well, it's one of our favorites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta say, just one of our favorites.
When you came in, the air went out. And
Kristen Barlow was the director. She's a famous, famous director, photographer. Lives in the Nashville area,
Right.
And she did this. I'm just taken aback by how clean and how good this is.
Well, it's brilliant. The number of cuts that happen, the quick cuts, the various scenes, the changes of chromatics.
Monochromatics, color wash.
Right. It's brilliant.
Now, Armin,
Great show.
I actually did try to count the quick cuts on this.
Okay. Not what you think you are. But before the night is through, I'm gonna do bad things with you. You know it, babe. Yeah, videos to that's Jace Everett. What a fantastic good is good. It is so good.
Well, and once again, we encourage you to go to YouTube, follow up on this.
Yeah.
Enjoy this with your friends, and hey, buy his tracks, buy his video, whatever. Just we hope you'll become a fan.
Jace Everett, good is good. Want to do bad things to you.
I have no comment right
I
there.
wish I had
I have no comment. Shout outs. We have a P.O. box now.
We do.
We have an email address.
It's not a prime number, however.
It isn't a prime number.
Be careful.
You
can't trust non-prime numbers. You just can't.
kind of like the Army.
They break down too
You
easily.
get what they give you. That's how it works over there.
Well, we wouldn't accept that.
Okay.
It would have to be a prime number. But
Post office box. We'll put some information up at the end of the episode
it's 7054 in case.
Uh,
Something like that.
on how you can get a hold of us. We have an email address. We have a Facebook Boom Juice podcast.
Right.
I'm sure there's
And-
going to be other things.
Well, we have a YouTube channel, which is where all of these episodes will be broadcast, and also all of the videos that we reference will be also on our channel and playlists on our channel, so you can go check out the whole video, because we're not going to play the whole video for you. That would be boring as hell. We just want to tell you about it and tell you a little bit about it, and then on we go.
Armin, back again to our feature artist that we'd like to do. This time, if I said to you, Ellis McDaniel, big name, big artist, what are you going to tell me?
Well, I know who it is.
Yeah, well, you would know. He would know. Of course he would know.
So you got 5 seconds. 4, 2, 1. Do you know out there? It's actually Bo Diddley.
And a tremendous, right at the outset, when you hear the Innovator, now I've heard the Innovator with, I think, Jerry Lee, was it Jerry Lee Lewis, or did he call himself the Innovator?
No, he called himself the Killer.
Oh, the Killer, yeah, the Killivator.
No, Killer, not Killivator.
Yeah. At any rate, tremendous artist. And that square guitar, where did that come from?
They came from a cigar box. He took a cigar box when he was really young and put a 2x4 on it and put some strings on it, and he made himself a guitar.
Really interesting. Really
and
quite
then it
interesting.
got refined, of course, and we picked it up and did. But yeah, I mean, he was he actually started on trombone as a young person. He was a classical
background. Classical
you know,
background.
and you know, of our two tonight, they're both classically trained. He was a trombone and violin, and at age 18, he was inspired to take up guitar after taking in a local Pentecostal
church meeting, yes, gathering.
which,
Yeah.
you know, that's where a lot of the folks. It's where music came from in the South for sure. But this was
Right.
Chicago, which is basically the South because everybody left the cotton fields and went to Chicago for the manufacturing jobs and the big money and the good life up in the frozen tundra of Chicago. But yeah, Pentecostal church was big in his life and big in many lives. His first major influence was a man by the name of John Lee Hooker.
John Lee Hooker. Yes.
He'll be in a future segment.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
guarantee.
What a legend there.
But now you said that you said long ago, shortly after we met, that Bo Diddley was the foundation, the starting point of rock and roll. That his rhythm, and that was the starting point. And what I pointed out at the time was that Bo Diddley's, and still do, Bo Diddley's rhythm was second line rhythm from New Orleans. It's what we dance to during Carnival and go up and down and, you know, whoo, bum, ba-dum, 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 bow, bow, ba-dum, 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 bow, bow, ba-dum, 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 bow. You know, and people dance to that. You go up and down, and the parades all go. That's where that actually comes from.
My grandma and your grandma was sitting by the fire. My grandma told your grandma, I'm gonna set your flag on fire. Talking about hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. I go ande. Oh, Chagamo Pino anande. Chagamo Pinade.
And don't you suppose, he, through all of his years growing up and playing in the business, he copied that backline rhythm, knowing it was something special. I just have to make a little twitch with it, and hence Bo Diddley, that famous shuffle. I just love that 5-accent shuffle.
That's the one.
It's killer.
That's
it's
the
killer.
second line beat right there.
Second line.
And he used it well. He used
Tremendous.
it and he became huge influence on lots of other folks. Like I said, Buddy Holly was influenced by Bo Diddley, and ended up writing a song with the same beat called "Not Fade Away." Our love is real, not fade away.
I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna be. Are you gonna give your love to me? I wanna love you night and day. You know my love will not fade away. Oh, well, you know my love will not fade away.
Also happened, was it 55, that he got a guest shot on Ed Sullivan, and which is tremendous because a lot of us look back at videos and YouTube videos and something like.
Right.
And one of the very first ones we see is actually, I think, that performance when he was on Ed Sullivan, and there's a whole nother crazy story to that.
Yeah,
thing,
let's
anyway,
get
we're
to
not
that
gonna-
after we watch it.
Yeah, we're not going to even
And
talk
right
about
now we're going to watch the video.
Oh, till the body baby diamond ring. If that diamond ring don't shine, oh, till the dig it to a private eye. If that private eye can't see, even I take the ring from me.
back. And so tell me that story about Ed Sullivan, because I've heard, but
Yeah, well, I didn't really know this till I read it, as you might expect. At any rate, December 1955, I think it is, Bo gets a chance, obviously, through his record company and producers, and somebody took notice to him in the production crew of the Ed Sullivan Show, and he gets a date on Ed Sullivan. Like I said, again, December 55 comes out and plays. Well, he's already now noted for his big hit, Bo Diddley. So the band shows up. They're in the green room. They're practicing whatever. They're going to warm up. They're going through 16 tons. Ernie Ford's did a tremendous thing with that.
Right.
16 tons, and they're warming up. And the producer comes in and goes, "Oh, well, that's really cool. Say, guys, how would you like to do 16 tons on the show?" And they're going, "Yeah, oh, okay." Well, they didn't want to pass this thing up.
Yeah.
So they made an assumption that they were going to go out and do Bo Diddley and then 16 tons. It might have been vice versa. At any rate, they came out and did both tunes. The producers are freaking out. Ed's freaking out backstage thinking, these guys are only supposed to do one tune, and they snap into the second tune, and of course the crowd's going nuts. You know, it's Bo Diddley. And any rate, like all of them, you know, they go off stage and Ed does his thing, and Ed goes back later and goes to the group, "What's going on?" And he's screaming and hollering and yelling. I don't know if he's screaming at them or producers and giving everybody the business. And he tells those guys, "That's not what you were supposed to do. You're not going to be in this business 6 months." Yeah, Bo Diddley.
well, you know, Ed did that to many people, but yeah, it was his way, or you're dead in this business.
People say a man is made out of mud. Poor man made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood. And skin and bone. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons. What are you getting? Another day older and deeper in debt. Saying, Peter, don't you call me, call I can't go. Oh, my soul to the company store.
And it did happen to a lot of people, unfortunately. He could be vindictive.
Yeah, well, he was. Yeah, but he was powerful, like you say, in the business. Very powerful in the business. So.
But it made an impact on music. You know, on the Ed Sullivan Show, 1955. It just set the fire in a whole bunch of guitar players. They're probably in their 13s or 14s, 15s at that time. I was 2 when that happened, but you know, it influenced a generation of guitar players to pick up and start playing rock and roll.
I won't forget the house about wine. Cold shake for the next time. Got a brand new house on the roadside. Baby, rattlesnake high. Got a brand new chimney made on top. Made out of a human skull. Now come on, take a little walk with me, honey. Tell me, who do you love? Who do you love? Everybody, come on. Who do you love? Woo! Who do you love? Who do you love?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Blues Hall of Fame,
Rhythm and Blues
Hall of Fame,
and Grammy Lifetime
Achievement Award. I mean, wow. What do you say? Holy cow.
Right.
Incredible.
And, you know, he will take his rightful place in Le Pantheon du Rock and Roll.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. How fabulous is that?
Yeah,
We'll do that. Bo, you know what? We love you. We love your music, your discography. We love everything you do. Only with this 79 years, started in Florida. You're one of your semi-home states. And
Well, it's more my home state than here.
yeah.
In reality. Yeah. Archer, Florida, 2008.
And you probably know where that is.
Well, I do, and I didn't, I didn't realize he was alive or anything because I was down there since about '89 in Florida, and I would have gladly run him down and found him, sat down and talked to him.
Oh,
That would be, because I'm not shy about doing that. As you
Well, that would be a hook. What a hook. What
I
a hook.
always think that they should be proud to meet me. That's a Jerry Reed quote.
Okay, Bo Diddley. We love you, baby.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.